Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my February Top Trumps TBR. Now let's just have a brief little recap of my January Top Trumps TBR, which was only 7 books, and I needed to read 25 a month to hit my 300 goal. Didn't read them all. Didn't even start a couple of them. I have nearly finished my wild card. I have DNF'd 1, and I managed to completely finish 2. And that was it. So that means for February, I'm going to be doing a wild card, which is not how I wanted to spend my birthday, but here we are. It's my own fault. So we're going to go through the Top Trumps TBR cards. I'm going to pick out my picks for this month. Pick up my picks, yep. Going to pick my books for this month. And then I'm going to go through the rest of the books that are going to be on my extended TBR, which includes Blackathon and Polarathon. As always, we give a little shuffle and then we pick our year. I just grabbed a handful of cards and I don't even know if this is going to be enough. So we'll go with it. So the first one is The Road, which is 2006. And then the second one is What She Found in the Woods, which is 2019. This is a YA thriller by the same person who wrote the Starcross series. I really enjoyed the Starcross series. That's like a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but with mythical creatures and gods and things like that, so that was really fun. I am more nervous about this one than I was when I first bought it. I bought it on instinct and was like, this sounds great, and then I've not heard really good things in a response to it, so we shall see. I can't remember the actual narrative, I'm just going to read the blurb to you, so YA thriller, we shall see. The next pick is author, so an author I haven't read before. V.E. Schwab I have read before, Pat Barker I have read before, Mia Sosa I have not read before, so The Worst Best Man is going on my TBR. The Worst Best Man is a wedding related rom-com, author of colour, really excited. This one was gifted to me by Kerry, so thank you very much, Kerry. I really appreciate that. I think this has got like enemies to lovers type stuff to it. I don't know. I don't know a lot about it, but it sounded really intriguing and I wanted to read more romances by authors of colour, so that's what this is. Next is number of pages, so I go with the book with the highest number of pages so as to challenge myself. We have The Sun Is Also a Star, which is 384 pages, and the next one is Caraval with 407 pages. Yay! To be honest, that could have been a lot worse. There are a few books in these cards that have over 500 pages, so we're happy with 407. That's fine. Caraval, I literally know nothing about this except Magical Circus, Trilogy. That's it. It's literally on my shelf because it's a series, or it's a trilogy that everyone keeps asking me if I've read, and I have to keep saying no, but finally I can say yes. So we're going to give this one a go. Good luck to me. Next is Goodreads Rating, so whichever book has the highest Goodreads rating. The first is Hollow Pike, which is 3.72, and the second is Kingdom of Souls, which has 3.82, so it will be Kingdom of Souls. I don't actually own this, but I'm intrigued. As I said with Kingdom of Souls, don't know anything about that, so we'll just leave that one there. The next pick is cover art. It is a completely subjective pick. I rated them all out of 10, and then it's whichever one has the highest score. So the first one is American Gods, which has 4, and the second one is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, which has 6.5. Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Now this is a spin-off of her Fangirl standalone, which is a young adult contemporary romance. I really liked Fangirl. It kind of made me cry because it was the first time I had seen representation of a bigger girl in a romantic setting that I actually liked, because sometimes it's a bit much. So I really liked it. Since then, and since putting this on my list, and I believe Carolyn gifted this to me actually. She did. Carolyn, constantly sponsoring my TBRs. Since that, obviously all the stuff about her being incredibly racist, like I'd never read Eleanor and Park, so I don't know, but obviously I've heard since then that she has some racist connotations to her books. That has made me really nervous, so I was kind of on the fence about reading this one, but when it was gifted to me, that was kind of made up for me. It's been on my shelf ever since. I don't want to unhaul it without reading it because it was gifted to me, and I'm worried that that is going to taint how I read this, essentially. This is probably the most problematic book I will have on a TBR ever, and it's, I don't know, so I'm hesitant because of that. Everything else about it sounds great, so we shall see. I'm nervous, but essentially this is a fangirl spin-off Draco and Harry romance parody. Usually if I have a TBR that consists of more than 3 books that I don't own, I will pick out a bonus card. I don't need to do that this month because there's only 1 book that I don't currently own, which means I get to move on to the wild cards. So the wild cards are all punishments essentially, but I do still get to pick, so they are prompts rather than specific books. There are 13 prompts in here. One of them is a free pass, which means I do not have to pick a wild card essentially. That is the wild card. So give him a little shuffle, give him a better shuffle than that, and then I will just pick one because I got halfway there. So we will go with, and it is an author you have written off. Who's an author I have written off? Good question. The author that I have written off before is Jo Nesbø. I read Macbeth for my Gothtober TBR, which was a classic Shakespeare Macbeth retelling, but set in 80s Scotland, and I really didn't like it. I found it really boring, but it's one of my parents, he's one of my parents' favourite authors. So I asked my dad if he were to recommend Jo Nesbø again to me, where should I start? And apparently The Police is the first in a series, and it kind of sets everything else up for later books. Really, if I want to try the author again, I need to start here. So I don't know anything about the story going in, and I'm hoping that means I will enjoy it more. But essentially, Jo Nesbø is an author that I have written off before. The wildcard has told me that I need to commit to this, and it's a chunky 630 pages. We could have chosen better, I'll admit that, but this is what we've got. So now that we've done my top trumps TBR, I can now talk you through the rest of my TBR. Now, obviously, you'll have heard that I am doing a Skullduggery read-along. So the Dead Famous read-along is going to start as of the 1st of Feb. We will be reading a book a month with all 15 books, so it will take us all well into 2022, which is exciting. And I'm really excited because I'm going to be a fucking nerd about it, and I'm going to annotate and highlight and tab, and I haven't done that in ages. I'm excited, and I'm also excited because it's teeny tiny, and it's a middle grade, it's a murder mystery, and it has supernatural, paranormal elements, which are things that I love. So I'm really excited for this read along, really excited to finally dig into this, and we'll leave that one there. I'm also doing a buddy read with Carolyn because Carolyn keeps gifting me books. This is another one that Carolyn gifted me. I will be reading Romanoff, which is an Anastasia retelling. I've heard mixed things. I'm quite nervous, but I'm quite excited. Carolyn helped me finish a book in a weekend, so we're hoping that that will also happen again, and that she will help me just steam through my ridiculous TBR. Again, I don't know much about this other than Anastasia and fantasy elements, but I'm really excited. Let's talk about Blackathon. Now, I got in as part of Waypoint so many Black author books because when I was looking through the prompts, I just couldn't decide which team I wanted to be in. I couldn't decide which prompt I wanted to go with. They all just sounded so great, but I'm also needing to be realistic and not pick 16 books because that's just not possible. So I am not in a team. I am doing it very, very loosely, and I hope Jessie doesn't mind that, but I've picked 4 prompts from amongst those teams. Rather than doing a group read, I've picked another short read, but they are all by Black authors as far as I'm aware. So I will go through which prompts go with which book, and kind of give you a background on why I've chosen them, but it's a very loose attempt at Blackathon because I just kind of overwhelmed myself and just went, oh my god, there's so many books, but I've got like an extended TBR that I'll be adding those Black authors to each month because their books just look epic. But these are the 4 that I'm going to start with. Okay, so for the sci-fi fantasy team, one of the prompts was Rita Woods, which is to traverse a realm or look at Black spirituality. And for that, I have chosen Black Sunday by Tola Rotimi Abraham. This is a book that looks at Black spirituality. The description is twin sisters BBK and Ariake. Oh god, I'm going to absolutely butcher these. I really need someone to tell me how to say these. Bibike and Ariake, I think it is. are enjoying a comfortable life in Lagos in 1996. Then their mother loses her job due to political strife and their father gambles away their home, and the siblings are thrust into the reluctant care of a traditional Yoruba grandmother. Inseparable when they had their parents to care for them, the twins' paths diverge once the household shatters, one embracing the years past and the other consumed by religion. Written with astonishing intimacy and wry attention to the fickleness of fate, Black Sunday delves into the chaotic heart of family life. In the process, it tells the tale of grace in the midst of daily oppression, of how two women can carve out their own paths of resistance. So it sounds really intriguing. It's quite a short read. I have a strong suspicion it's going to make me cry, because we're an emotional reader. That's how I react to things. But I'm really intrigued by this one. And I think there's like culty themes in this one. I think when I looked on Goodreads and stuff, there seemed to be like cult implications with this. So I don't know what the trigger warnings are for this yet. So I will read it, do my research, and then when I come to my wrap up, I can let you know. But going into this, I'm going in almost completely blind. I don't really know. Sounds intriguing though. So the next one is Neddy Okafor, which is a disabled character or by a disabled author. And something that Jessie did say is if you weren't entirely sure, you could go with the author that the prompt is in honour of, because they are an author that would fill that category anyway. So I have gone for Who Fears Death. This does have trigger warnings for rape and sexual assault. I know that going into it. But essentially she is raped and she has a daughter, and she names her daughter Who Fears Death. I want to say it's Onyeson Sonwoo, I think is how you say it. Sonwoo. Oh god, this is the hard bit, is because I haven't heard anyone say these names. I really don't want to fuck it up, but I also don't want to not try. So I'm gonna go with Sonwoo and hope I haven't butchered it. If I have, please let me know. But I this one just sounds fascinating. So a woman wanders the African desert after surviving. A woman wanders the African desert after surviving rape by an enemy general and the annihilation of her village. She hopes to die. Instead, she gives birth to an angry baby girl with hair the hair and skin the colour of sand, and names her Sonwoo, meaning Who Fears Death. Onye is fated for a life of violence, to be an outcast. But she is unusual in ways that go deeper than the tint of her skin. From childhood, she has possessed a remarkable and unique magic. As Onye grows, so do her powers, and with them she comes to know that someone wishes her dead. This is a rite of death and magic set in a post-apocalyptic Sudan, where Nauru people oppress the dark-skinned. Okay. Who Fears Death is now in development for a HBO series, so that's quite exciting. The next one is, I went with Bernardine Evaristo for the decadent setting one. This is The Emperor's Babe. Yeah, it's a novel in verse, which we love. I really enjoyed Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo, and when she came and did a talk at my uni, this is the one that she discussed, so I'm really excited to kind of sink my teeth into it. But all I know is that it is about a young woman who marries a Roman general. Or marries a Roman and then is chased by a Roman general. Pursued. I don't know. So I'm excited by this one, but you know, Rome, decadence, that just seemed to fit really nicely, so we're going with that one. And then the last one is, yeah, the Lavelle or Lavallee? I don't know. I'm going to go with Lavallee. Lavelle? Victor Lavelle? I don't know. I really need to hear more people say these names. Which is a supernatural or paranormal horror, and I have gone with The Changeling. When Apollo Kagwa was just a child, his father disappeared, leaving him with recurring nightmares and a box labelled Improbabilia. Now successful book dealer, Kagwa has a family of his own, and after meeting and falling in love with Emma, a librarian, the two marry and have a baby. So far, so happy ever after. However, as the pair settle into their new lives as parents, exhaustion and anxiety starts to take their toll. Emma's behaviour becomes increasingly erratic. One day she commits an unthinkable act, setting Apollo on a wild and fantastical quest through a suddenly otherworldly New York in search of a wife and a child he no longer recognises. So I know that obviously in traditional mythology, changelings are children left by Fae in place of your children. It is linked psychologically to postnatal depression and not being able to recognise your own child. So it's going to have some really dark, thrillery type themes to it. I'm really excited, and I've heard really good things. Victor Lavelle was a popular choice when it came to picking an author of colour for Gothtober, so I'm really excited to finally sink into this. And then, because I'm not doing any of the group reads, I've just picked myself a short read. This was gifted to me by Shanice. This is The Black God's Drums, and this is essentially about a young girl who steals onto a pirate ship and goes on a quest with pirates. and it sounds really intriguing, and it still fits the travels theme, so I thought hopefully Jessie will forgive me and allow that. So yeah, I'm really excited for those all sound really, really intriguing. Like I said, I'm really sorry if I butchered any of the names. I will 100% accept criticism, and if anyone can like help me, because I couldn't find anything when I was looking up the names on how to pronounce them, so please help me in those instances, because I know I probably didn't get them right, so thank you. The other readathon I'm doing is Polathon, and again I've got 4 books, but whether I actually commit to all 4 we shall see, because big old TBR, need to finish lots of books. Turns out I don't own any Polar Fantasies. I read all of my Polar Fantasies in December and have not stocked up again since. So I'm doing the prompts, but none of these are even remotely Polar Fantasies, so bear with. I'm going to be doing the polar bear prompts just because they were the prompts that seemed to suit me best. The first one is a white cover, so I will be reading the Bone Season. This is another one of the series that I really wanted to start, and I thought, well actually I'm starting quite a few series anyway, might as well commit. I've heard really good things about this, and all I know is that it's about clairvoyance that are illegal, so intrigued, and finally gonna read the Bone Season. Sorry. For cozy vibes, I'm going with Jinx by Meg Cabot. I am doing a complete reread of Meg Cabot books, but I have not read Jinx before. I think this came out just as I was kind of coming out of my Meg Cabot phase as a teen. Who knew it would come back with such a vengeance? So I haven't read this one, but Meg Cabot in general gives me cozy vibes, so I'm quite excited to read a new, for me, Meg Cabot book. The third prompt is a journey, so I will be re-attacking Mosquito Land. I got about halfway through in December and then abandoned it because I wanted to start January completely fresh. This is about a young girl who is suffering from a variety of mental health issues. She is writing letters to her aunt who's also had mental health issues, and she is on a journey to find her mum after she finds out that something terrible has happened, but she doesn't specifically know what. She just knows that her mum is really sick and she needs to get there to help her. So it is a very, very powerful read. Trigger warnings for sexual assault, mental health and violence. She's also in quite a severe car accident in the first half. So I'm really intrigued to see how this ends, and I thought again, I don't have to start this from the beginning, so it's a nice easy read to tick off that prompt. And then the last prompt is a cold word, and this is the only one that sounds like it's a polar fantasy, but it isn't, and that is Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. This is a science fiction, speculative fiction novel, really, really dense, that I attempted to read because it's my best friend's book and she gifted it to me, but just couldn't get into. So I'm going to try again because she keeps asking me if I've read it, and I have to keep telling her that I have when I haven't. I'm a liar. Anyway, so this is essentially looking at a modern world where rather than having religion or anything that kind of controls people, like governments and things like that, everything is controlled essentially by delivery drivers. And delivery drivers are the ultimate job. They're paid the most. Everyone fucking loves a delivery driver, and it's actually quite a dangerous job because resources are so sparse that people are attacking them. So that's as far as I got with it. It's a really, really dense sci-fi, but snow for Snow Crash. So hopefully I can finally finish that one. And then in January, I read a whole bunch of graphic novels to tick off my 25 reads, and I thought, there's only so many graphic novels I can binge in one go. What I need to do is kind of break it up and almost do like a theme each time so that it all works together and I'm not like overdoing it on one format. So where I did graphic novels in January, I'm going to do poetry in February. So I'm just going to go real quick through them. I'm not going to like hang about and explain them too much, but just to kind of cover the poetry that I'm going to be reading this month. I have The Great Goddesses and The Girl and the Goddess by Nikita Gill, Dearly by Margaret Atwood, The Wastelands and Other Poems by T.S. Eliot, Homebody by Rupi Kaur, New Selected Poems by Ted Hughes, Beowulf, the traditional copy because this is Mr. Hazel's copy and I need to give this back at some point, Violet, Bent Backwards Over Grass by Lana Del Rey, The Book of Hours by Lucy English, and I Would Leave Me Too by Halsey. I've also got Punching the Air, which is a novel in verse, kind of poetry but kind of in the middle, so we've got a couple of novels in verse and obviously that long list of poetry, which I'm quite excited for. In January I also picked a business book which was going to help me in my business in general, and the one that I've gone for this month is Coach Your Own Life by Jeff Archer. This has been recommended to me as something when it comes to like planning and organising, this is meant to be like a good one to read that's going to give you pragmatic advice, which is what I need, because I'm not great with self-help books, but I'm trying to get on board with business ones because I want my business to progress. So that is my intense TBR for February. It is a birthday month, so I will be doing a live show on my birthday, which is the 12th of Feb, so keep an eye out for that. Let me know in the comments below what book you are most excited for February in general. Let me know if you are taking part in Blackathon, Polathon, or any other readathons taking place in February. Other than that, have a nice day and keep me in the loop.